On a Nation Sports Show, we finish up our 2023 NFL Division previews. Tonight, it's the NFC East and the NFC West. For the past 3 weeks, our Nation Sports Show has previewed, broken down, and given our predictions on every single division in the National Football League. In just a couple of weeks, the wait will finally be over as the NFL's regular season kickoff is almost here. Plus, in the NBA, the drama in Philadelphia with James Harden and the 76ers continues. Reported this week, the NBA will investigate the drama in Philadelphia. It's showtime.
From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Yeah, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It is our Nation Sports Show, and we are glad to be here once again on a beautiful, very warm Tuesday evening. It is great to be with you all again. It's time to talk those sports, as we always do every Tuesday, here on YouTube, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. If you are watching the show live, as Eddie Trunk would say, we welcome your involvement. And if you're not, you're watching this on demand, we appreciate you watching it. And of course, we love to hear from you guys that way as well. We're live here, so if you're in the chat right now, please say hello, interact with us throughout the show. Give us your opinions, your takes, comments, concerns, teams you hate, teams you don't like, teams you like. In between, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it, and we'll definitely read your comments on the air. Also, don't forget to follow us, of course, on our stuff at Owen_Sports Show on Twitter, Facebook.com/OurNationSportsShow, and Instagram.com/OurNationSportsShow. And also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner at The Nation's Corner on YouTube and everywhere else at Nation's Corner as well. Don't forget to follow them. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Of course, that is our sister show here on YouTube. They, of course, do pro wrestling, and as much as we love pro wrestling too, they handle the business on there as well. Tony Justice, Mongrovian, Mike Front Row, and Deb Housen, and whoever else they can bring on the show as well. They do interviews and everything. And speaking of interviews, we'll have a little update we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes concerning interviews. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But also, don't forget to follow them on their show. Like I said, same time as ours, but on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time on youtube.com/The Nation's Corner. Also, don't forget to follow my crew at Too Sweet Cosplay on socials at Too Sweet Cosplay. Some of us will be at All Out weekend in Chicago, so please come and see us if we're out and about. We'll be hanging out, just enjoying the sights, getting some autographs, taking photos, and it's going to be a great time there as well. But enough of my yakking. Let's get to the crew. Of course, I'm Ezra here, one of the hosts here, but we got two other guys here. We got, of course, the leader of the Niner gang himself, a man who is more highly touted than Brock Purdy is touted by Paul Heyman, the one, the only, KR Kevin Rory. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And yeah, you're right. It's a warm one out there. Hope everybody's trying to stay cool, enjoy some sports, get ready for this NFL preview and the NFL season coming up soon. And yes, we will be discussing a certain team that I don't like, but that we'll get to that later. Hope everybody has a good time out there and enjoy the show. Let's go.
Yes, definitely a team that you say, Kevin. Not even Madden can actually fake their championship for. But we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But we can't do the show without the heavy metal brother of mine from North Carolina. The man who is known for his boisterous voice, who is as loud as Metallica was at Arlington, Texas the other night, doing 2 nights. Man saw those shows live in a movie theater near him in North Carolina. We'll talk about that a little bit later, and that is my boy, the heavy metal rebel himself, Alec Frankie Kazarian, the one, the only Big Stevie Wyand. What's up, man?
Yeah. Ooh. Hey. Yeah. That was an amazing weekend experiencing those 2 shows broadcasted worldwide from Texas from the mighty Metallica on their M72 World Tour. And that was a lot of fun and just great sets both nights by the band, playing new stuff, old stuff, in between, all that good stuff. But we are here today to finish out our 2023 NFL division previews as we break down and give our predictions on the NFC East and the NFC West, and plus all the latest breaking news in the NBA with James Harden and the saga with Philadelphia and all that coming down the pipe a couple hours ago. And that's interesting. And also the news about your White Sox and possible moving. And what the hell am I rambling on? Let's get this going, baby.
Absolutely, brother. And as we said, we got a lot to get into. But first, we'd like to talk a little news that we were discussing before the show began. And that is that we are working out the final details, but we are working on scheduling an interview with our old friend from SiriusXM, Mad Dog Radio, and of course covering the New York Giants, the one and only Lance Meadow. We're working on that. We're going to finalize, hopefully next Wednesday. It will be a pre-recorded interview, which we will premiere on the Our Nation Sports Show YouTube channel. We will let everybody know when everything is finalized, so keep an eye on our social medias. But yes, we will have Lance Meadow back on the show. And it's been a minute since we talked to Mr. Lance, and I can't wait to get his opinions, not only on the entire NFL, but of course on his New York Football Giants. So, Steven, Kevin, I'm very excited to do this interview next week. It's going to be a blast.
Yes, it is. I mean, Lance is one of the best radio guys in sports. He knows his stuff, football, basketball, all that stuff. He's a huge sports geek, and he's been doing this for so many years, and he's a great guy to talk to. And also, I don't think he watches it currently now, but back in his day, he used to watch wrestling. He grew up in the 80s, with the Hulk Hogans and the Sergeant Slaughters and the Jake the Snake Roberts, all those guys back in the day. So it would be cool, not just to talk about a little, obviously what we come to talk to about, and that's the upcoming NFL season, because there's a lot of storylines on the horizons. But I think it would be cool to kind of talk about a little bit of wrestling, with him, and kind of for those that don't know his background of his old school love for professional wrestling back in the golden age in the 80s. It'd be cool to hear that, but Lance is a great guy. He knows what he's talking about. And if you've never listened to his stuff, he's everywhere. He's on NFL radio. He's on Mad Dog Radio on Saturdays and Sundays at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. It's 5 a.m. in the West. He is everywhere. He is a great, knowledgeable guy, and I cannot wait, and we cannot wait to talk to him possibly and hopefully finishing out these details for next week. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, well, like I said, keep an eye on our social media, specifically our Twitter at @Owen_Sports Show for more information as it becomes available and we get everything finalized. Like I said, this will be a pre-recorded interview, so it will not be live. But if you guys have any questions for Lance, please hit us up on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram let us know what you want to ask him. Because like I said, he's got a wealth of knowledge. He's very knowledgeable about his sports. So if you guys want to talk to him, you guys want to leave a question, please let us know. All right. Okay, now that that's taken care of and that little news has been broken, let's get into some different talks and let's get right into the NBA. As you said, the James Harden saga with the Philadelphia 76ers continues to get a nastier and nastier.
Very.
And a couple hours ago, it was announced that the NBA had fined James Harden $100,000 for public trade demands. This comes down. This literally just came down about 4 or 5 hours ago. For public comments on August 14th and the 17th. No, I do not want NBA ID. Stupid website. Indicated he would not perform the services called for under his player contract unless traded to another team. So for that was just broken. He's been fined $100,000 for those public trade comments. Kevin, I can see you smiling and stewing there. So why don't you lead us off as you always do?
So, Wendy on ESPN brought up a very valid point, as we're all wondering if James Harden will even show up or if he will hold out. Technically, he cannot hold out. He has to play. Yep. The reason why I say that is because this is his last year of his contract. We get that. But when the new CBA was signed under Adam Silver a couple years ago, it stated that a team can block someone from hitting the free agency market if they fail to perform or show up for their duties. So he has to show up, dress out, play, yada, 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 whatever, if Philadelphia wants to drag this out because it's a part of the CBA. If not, he's going to remain in Philadelphia until he just retires. So it's a pretty shitty situation. I just don't know where you go from here. I mean, Philadelphia is a damn dumpster fire. And also the world of social media we live in, Joel Embiid had scrapped everything Philadelphia 76ers from his Twitter. And now he has no longer have anything about Philadelphia 76ers. And it's interesting because he did bring up the comment this summer, I want to win the championship, whether I have to leave this city or not. That is very foretelling that he could be on the horizon of possibly requesting a trade amongst all this hoopla, blue blah crap that's going on with James Harden. So pretty shitty situation in Philadelphia.
Yeah, just it's not seeming to get any better at all. And I know James wants to be traded, and he made his comments public because he wants people to know how he feels about that organization. But to me, making those comments in public, yes, if the rumors are true about the way he feels that he's being treated there, okay, maybe so. But also, you got to understand, there's things like confidentiality. There's things like, trust between the office and you, being a player and being management. There's a lot of different things like that. Non-disclosure. You got to look at that. And James is coming out with these things that shouldn't be talked about in public, and the way he's, quote unquote, maybe degrading team or degrading the office, that's not a good look on him. And the NBA is not going to fall for that type of stuff. Adam Silver, despite how sometimes people may think of him, he has no problem putting the hammer down if needed when it comes to shit like this. Because he did the same thing with John Morant. He did the same thing. He's done the same thing in the past with a lot of players who stepped their toe out of line, saying, hey, you got to be professional. That's what you're here for. You're not just an athlete. You are a professional. You are representing an entire brand behind you. Not just yourself, not just your legacy, but the legacy of the entire NBA as a whole is on your shoulders if you are a player in a certain spotlight. And Harden is that. It's not like he's Ben Simmons, or he's not like, older players and stuff that are not even, or in the twilights of their career. You got to think he's around. James Harden was at one point same level with guys like LeBron, guys like Kevin Durant. Guys, in those, he was on that level, that echelon with those guys. So when you're up there, you got to represent you. No matter how much you may not like it, you got to represent your team in a positive manner on the public eye. Private eye, if you want to maybe talk and say, talk to other players or whatever and say, hey, I don't think this guy's good for my career or whatever, then you talk it out with them. You talk it out with the office in private, not in public setting, because that just makes you look bad. It makes the team look bad. And that's the reason why the NBA put their foot down and said, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. We're going to fine you $100,000 for those comments, because that stuff could be possibly, like I said, confidentiality agreement. It could be something that should be non-disclosed. I mean, trade talks are obviously public knowledge because they get fanned out every day in the NFL, obviously. But it's that stuff. Some of that stuff should be kept behind closed doors.
Yeah, here's my thing on it though, real quick, Ezra. What he's saying, he's just saying that shit for attention. He doesn't mean it. He's saying the shit for attention, trying to force his way out of Philly, trying to be that toxic cancer guy in the locker room. Like, oh, we have to get rid of him like ASAP. He's trying to make the front office crack before too long so they can go ahead and get rid of him. Because history lesson here, why is James Harden just now in 2023 calling Daryl Morey a liar when he's basically worked for Daryl Morey for a decade? In Oklahoma City, Daryl Morey took over the Houston Rockets and essentially right then traded for James Harden. He literally grew with James Harden. He developed an MVP in James Harden, a 40-point per game scorer one season in James Harden in 2017. Then James Harden, they all leave, split up, whatever. Daryl Morey resigns. He goes to Philadelphia. Harden has his little saga in Brooklyn, and then he trades for Harden again in Philadelphia. So why now all of a sudden James Harden, oh, you're a liar? Why didn't he feel that same way back in 2013 when he traded for James Harden? That's what I want to know.
It's Steven, before you comment,
Yep.
I do have an update from an hour ago. And that is that the NBPA will file a grievance to an arbitrator disputing Harden's $100,000 fine of Phillies on James and the league's assertion that his recent statements violated collective bargaining agreement rules against public trade demands. So the National Basketball Players Association is sticking up for James Harden.
That is very interesting. Go ahead.
I was about to say, if it's just because there's no confidentiality wrong, if that's the case, then James Harden didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, it's pretty shitty that he would do that and throw him under the bus, but like that's basically his First Amendment, I guess, if there's nothing in the contract about it. So if he's just expressing his First Amendment, and that's why the NBAPA would stand up for him, I reckon. Then I mean, by all means, do it. But he's being looked at as a shitty player, a shitty teammate, and a shitty locker room guy, and nobody wants to be around that. No. I mean, you got guys in the locker room, as much as I hate it, no, LeBron doesn't do all this crying shit. Steph Curry doesn't do all this bitching and moaning. Giannis, Jokic, Kevin Durant, I mean, he's had his moments, but Durant's been relatively chill. And I mean, he does bounce, but he doesn't do it in a public diva matter where he's just got to show his ass. He just plays ball. And that's all you need to ask. Like, if you don't want to stay in a place, just quietly move on, move along, move about your business, play ball, shut up and play. Because at this point, James Harden's washed, and he knows he's washed. He's not the James Harden who he used to be.
And obviously, Kevin and Steven, you guys, obviously, we don't know all the facts because that type of stuff, if there is a confidentiality stuff, that's not a public record. That's not something that we know about personally, because a lot of that stuff is in the specific notes in the contract. If that's the case, we don't have that kind of information, as we're not, deep into the NBA. We don't know it. We're not in the offices. But if we're just speculating that if that's the case, then Harden is violating terms of his contract. But if he's not, and he's just speaking his mind the way he wants to speak it, then so be it. But also, you got to look at it from a different perspective, in a sense, whether you speak it or not, whether it's your First Amendment right or not, to say what you need to say. You also got to look at it from the perspective of who you're representing, like I said, and who.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're representing your brand, and you're representing yourself, and you're representing an entire league with hundreds of players, thousands of players, and to do that makes everybody look bad.
Yep. And also, as well, to add to this, I mean, when you look at, what now, there's two ways I look at this. Okay. If it says in his contract that Harden cannot do this, it's still shitty. However, if it doesn't say it in his contract, okay, he has a right to freedom of speech and all that stuff, but there is a but and a caveat here. There is a way to go about expressing your way to the team, to the people that run the franchise, to the team, to the basketball of operations, to the team owner, team president, stuff like that. Because if you do it behind closed doors, hey, be my guest. Yell and scream at the walls all day long you want to them behind closed doors. But do not go into a public assembly, a public setting, and make a mockery of not only yourself, but the entire organization that you represent, the fan base, the players that are on your team, your head coaches, your trainers, everybody, and especially the entire National Basketball Association. I mean, James Harden, as we all know, when he's on his game, he is a top 5, top 10 scorer in the NBA. He's a former MVP, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he is. I believe he is an MVP. And Harden's a hell of a scorer. He can score in bunches, but Harden, I honestly think that Harden is a desperate man, because Harden knows that his window of opportunity of winning an NBA championship, it's closing. The glass is about to be full, and he's what, 34, 35, and he's still a talent, but he's becoming the basketball version of Antonio Brown. He's becoming a diva, and he's not handling himself the right way. Now, like I said, if it says in his contract that he can, that it doesn't say that he can't do that, then okay, freedom of speech, I get it. But don't do it like this. There's better ways to handle a situation like this, and it's very shitty. It's very just foolish of him to do it this way. Either way, if it says contract or not, there is a way to handle this. You got to be professional about this. I mean, because we know how the Philadelphia fan base is very passionate about their basketball team, about their baseball team, about their hockey team, about their football team. I mean, Philadelphia fans, they will burn you literally to the ground, if you don't perform at a high level, and if you're not representing that brand of the team, and especially your brand to its fullest, potential. And Harden, I understand he's a frustrated man, but there is better ways to handle situations like this. And I get it. He wants to go to Los Angeles to play with his buddies in Kawhi, and Paul George. I mean, I get it. Who wouldn't want to? And he would reunite with Russell Westbrook, his former teammate in Oklahoma City.
We've seen this saga before, but here's my thing about it. You don't know who's in the right here, because we've seen this is like two catastrophic bombs colliding together, because we've seen Philadelphia with Ben Simmons and how they exploded on Ben Simmons and that drama. Then we've seen James Harden in Houston leave a strip club, put on a fat suit, sound like he got 200 pounds extra just to get out of Houston to go to Brooklyn. Then all of a sudden he's skinny again. I just, both guys and both parties, in my opinion, could be wrong, and they're both idiots, because I know how the 76ers are. Like, and I know how James Harden is. They're both idiots, in my opinion. So I'm just tired of talking about James Harden. He's not going to win a championship. He's going to be another Carmelo Anthony. The only problem is Carmelo wasn't this damn much of a cancer in the locker room. So you know what? I much respect to Carmelo, but this is ridiculous. James Harden, just because he's got the platform, wants to go up there and bash his employer, essentially, is ridiculous. Because yes, it's freedom of speech, but I don't go to work every day and bitch my boss and blast him on all over the world and say this and that and accuse him of stuff. It's just stupid. Just pure stupid, man.
You know how they say that Chuck Norris has no chin underneath his beard, there's only a fist? Well, it's Harden's case. There's not a chin there either. It's a big ass wad of $1 bills for his next trip to the Houston strip club.
Oh my
Yes.
There you go.
God.
Nice way to end that. Nice way to end that one.
Yes.
Let's talk about some ESPN news, and that is the announcements of the countdown shows.
Oh God.
Okay, the first one is this list right here, which is the Saturdays and Sundays on ABC. Bob Myers, Stephen A. Smith, Malik Andrews, Michael Wilbon, and Adrian Wojnarowski. Which that's a pretty decent crew. I will say that much. It's a pretty decent crew. Especially when you got Woj, who's been there forever, who knows his shit.
Yes.
Steve, who's not going to pull no punches.
Nope.
Same thing with Michael Wilbon.
Wilbon's been there for years. So
Wilbon on his own show. I believe it's I believe his show wasn't it Pardon the Interruption?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, his own show. He's pretty epic on there too. And Bob Myers, I mean, he'd be good.
Oh yeah.
But the other one that I know Kevin is going to light shit up with, and this is going to be hysterical, is the NBA Countdown Wednesdays and Fridays on ESPN. You got Cheney, or I don't know her last name. I can't pronounce it. Richard Jefferson, Malika Andrews will be on that one. Woj will be on that one, and our good friend Kendrick Perkins.
I like Richard Jefferson. He's about the only one I like because he's charismatic. He's got a personality. That's what you want while you're watching the countdown. You want someone to lighten the mood to have fun.
Wojnarowski's up though got the knowledge and that he's been covering this shit for years.
He just, to me, Adrian Wojnarowski, he's got the knowledge, but he don't got the personality. Like the NFL has Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter's a funny guy. He's an unintentional, hilarious guy that has all the knowledge. The NBA is trying so hard to be like that, and I don't think he can be matched. For one, the NBA, you're not going to build chemistry like that, keep interchanging pieces, because I don't care what you say. That crew can't even tie the shoes of the crew of Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley, and Shaq. Those guys have charisma, they have chemistry, they all have personalities, and they are unintentionally the most hilarious crew on the planet when it comes to talking ball, and they have the knowledge. That's the main thing.
Kevin, I can't wait
to intertwine all of that in one, and boom, you got the perfect countdown crew.
I can't wait till Christmas when we can take bets on which episode that Charles Barkley is gonna get shoved into a or Kenny Jet's gonna get shoved into a Christmas tree by Shaq.
Or Shaq's going to get up out of his chair and fall over and go face first into the damn floor again. No. There was one where Shaq was trying to race Kenny Jet Smith to the chalkboard, and he glued Kenny the Jet Smith to a seat so he couldn't get up. I remember that one happened last year. That was hilarious.
Yeah. That crew is the best. That's the best as far as covering basketball. That's the best countdown crew in all of NBA. Period.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I think they're decent, but it's not anything to cry about. You talk about entertaining guys. Imagine putting on a regular football show. I know he does College Game Day, but imagine him covering NFL. Pat McAfee.
Yes,
dude. Pat McAfee is a lightning bolt in a fucking bottle. That dude would be the most entertaining shit on the planet. He would actually make fucking he would actually make Joe Buck and Troy Aikman watchable.
Yeah,
I agree. I think they should. They should at least the Monday night count, because Monday night has no personalities, and he should be in there to at least lighten the mood in the studio. Because I remember the old crew that I liked had a bunch of personalities. I mean, Chris Carter, Keyshawn Johnson, the funniest people on the planet. Tom Jackson, all those guys, they were just naturally, they had charisma and they had the personalities to match when they're talking about football.
And then when Chris Berman would do his NFL prime time with Tom Jackson, I mean, dude, just such great chemistry. I mean, just ESPN, Sports Center, countdown crews, it will never be the same.
Nope.
No, of course not. Let's see, real quick before we move on to some other stuff. Let's see. Looking at the NBA news headlines, if NBA.com will load, not be a piece of garbage. Let's see. Oh yeah, there was a signing earlier today or earlier this week, and that was, I believe it was, free agent Moses Brown. He is signing a partially guaranteed 1-year deal with the Portland Trail Blazers. Brown has appeared in 128 NBA games for 6 different teams since coming into the NBA out of UCLA in 2019. Bit of a journeyman out there.
Yes, he is.
And that's pretty much all I got NBA wise. There wasn't a lot today. There wasn't a lot this past week. Obviously, it's been a quiet week, but that's the brace. Let's see. Really not much going on in the other side of the world in sports. So let's get right into the football talk. And there's a lot to get into. Just not only our predictions, which we'll get into, or our kind of review on this stuff on the NFC East and West, but also there's just other news that have hit over the past week. We got to get into injury reports, all different sorts of stuff. One of the saddest news though is Titans quarterback Caleb Farley, while he was at practice hanging out, his house unfortunately exploded. But even more so, I believe it is his father or his grandfather.
It's his father.
His father was unfortunately killed in the explosion, and one other person was seriously injured with non-life-threatening injuries. They're still trying to investigate what the explosion was, if it was a gas leak, if it was they said gas might have accumulated over a long period of time and likely found its way into an ignition source. They're saying that it's originated in a bedroom and did not damage any surrounding homes. It's estimated at a tax value of $2 million, and that the entire home is a loss. So, unfortunate news for him. All the Titans players took a knee at practice for him to show solidarity and to show compassion towards him at this time. They know they got the season coming up, but right now, something more important than football coming up. Unfortunately for Caleb Farley, we wish him all the best and condolences to his family and friends. Very tragic incident for him.
And for Farley as well, I mean, this is the second loss, huge in his family with his parents. I mean,
yeah, his mom passed away from cancer.
Yes. I mean, it's unfortunate, it's just crazy how this young man has been dealt adversity, in his young life. And hopefully he can rise from this adversity and he can overcome this, because I know it's going to be tough, for him to even thinking about playing football this year, because this came suddenly out of nowhere with the explosion of his home, and football obviously starting in a couple weeks. But this obviously is more important than the game of football. And our condolences, our thoughts, our prayers go out to him and his family at this time. And just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, unfortunate, very unfortunate. Like I said, prayers and condolences go out to him and the family. So we all wish him the best. On some other news here, real quick here is that Terry McLaurin, this is, I believe, is college. I believe this is college. Yeah, college. Or no, Commanders. Washington Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin's right big toe. There was no major damage to it. So he's optimistic to return, or he's optimistic to start for the Washington Commanders in the very first game of the season.
We'll see what happens when you play a damn preseason game into the third quarter. The Commanders played that like that was a damn week 4 game. Come on, Washington. Do better.
Yeah, I agree on that. What happened on my page? My freaking window disappeared. Nice. Here it is. Other news includes the The starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has been announced, and it is Baker Mayfield.
Shocker, shocker, shocker.
And I stand on my prediction with them being fourth place. That just basically proves my point.
Yep.
So, Kev, do you think that real quick? Do you think that Baker will throw a Baker's dozen of interceptions this year?
Hell, I don't know. The way he was throwing in training camp, nobody can catch the damn ball. At least he ain't throwing picks. Nobody can catch the damn ball. He's throwing the ball 10 feet over everybody's head. He looks like Brucey from the longest yard when he goes to throw the ball to the coach. Right here. Hit me. I'm open. Wham! Goes 10 foot over his head. Now that's why. Now sit down and shut up, Brucey. That's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I remember that line. I also remember I got the bird. His name was Rodney. What's up, Rodney? You got knocked the fuck out.
Yes.
Still one of my favorite lines ever. Here we go. Listen to this. New York Jets have announced that Aaron Rodgers will start the final preseason game.
Brilliant. Now don't get injured.
Let's see what else here. Here we go. Seahawks Jackson Smith. I can't pronounce the other part of his last name, but Jackson Smith. I don't want to butcher it, but Jackson Smith, who's part of the Seattle Seahawks, is a rookie wide receiver, will have surgery to prepare a broken bone in his wrist, but he still could be ready for the start of the regular season.
Yeah, that's Jackson Smith Najigba from Ohio State. Yeah. They just call him JSN because it's so dang long.
Yeah.
Before we continue, what's up in the chat? The Big T, William Gyron, and Randy Gyron. What's up, fellas?
There's our regulars. What's up, guys? Glad to have you on the glad to have you joining us there in the chat on the show.
And William asked a great question in the chat. He said, if Harden plays for Philadelphia this year, how well is he going to do? Is he going to dog it? That's a good question, dude.
Here's the thing. If he does play, I don't think he's going to tank on purpose. I think he'll still give it his all. I don't think he's going to be lazy, but if he has to start by his contract, what it says, then I think he'll still play like he usually does. I think he'd rather just play the season, if it comes out to it, play the season, get it over with, and whatever happens. He's gonna have to. He's depending on the status of the contract and what it is, he has no choice. But back to the other NFL news, and that is the biggest one probably of the day, is that Jonathan Taylor has been allowed by the Indianapolis Colts to go ahead and seek trade offers. But the catch is, and this is according to multiple sources, including Adam Schefter, is that they aren't giving him away for cheap. That his trade value, that the money they want for him or whatever they want from him, is going to be high. It's crazy, this whole saga with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts front office. Like, you've got understandably so, it's all part of cap space and all that, but you've got a guy who is, like we talked about in the pre-show, who spends, so much fuck you money on memorabilia and things like that you can't, pay this guy. And I completely understand. It's all about cap space. It's all about different things like that. You don't want to pay certain taxes and you want to try to avoid that. And I get that, but can't pay the man. But then again, that's not my call. But right now, Jonathan Taylor open to trade. He's now open to trade talks, but there's going to probably be a ridiculously high price tag to get him to go anywhere else. And I don't know what team is going to be looking to pay Jonathan Taylor to get him away from Indy.
I think the only team, if I can recall, recently that traded for a running back and paid a ridiculous price, it actually was the Colts when they traded for Trent Richardson back in 2012, 2013, I believe.
Yeah. And
they gave up a first-round pick. But I'm just saying, the last couple of seasons, Christian McCaffrey came to San Francisco for a second, third, and a fourth-round pick, not a first. If he came for only that, I do not believe another injured running back like Jonathan Taylor, who's good when he's healthy, is not going to be worth a first round pick, no doubt. Maybe a couple seconds, thirds, not a first. And the Colts are not going to get that at all.
Yeah, they open up the trade market, but they're going to put him at such a high. They're going to put him at such a high price tag. I'm like, is it like that? What is he going to do then? Is he just going to sit out? Is he going to play? But
Exactly.
it's just going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. So,
Guys, I have to jump in real quick. I got some breaking news that just broke. Lance Meadow has been confirmed for next Wednesday's pre-recording at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, there we go.
There you go, folks. This is why we love doing this show on live, because now we are set and ready for next Wednesday for our pre-recorded interview. And I would say we will drop this video, I would say, on September the 6th at 7 Eastern.
Just before the regular season.
Why not? Just before the regular season starts.
Okay, I'm good with that. Great call on it, Steve. This is what I love, doing this stuff on the fly, live on the show. This is the stuff that we live for. If you just didn't hear it just a second ago, we're going to tell you again, breaking news from our good buddy Stephen Wyand, and it has been confirmed. Lance Meadow of SiriusXM, Mad Dog Radio, and the New York Giants coverage will be joining us live. Will be joining us on a pre-recorded interview on next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time. And we'll be recording this interview. September 6th will be the premiere date, one day before the regular season starts. So we can't wait to have Lance back. We can't wait to show this interview when it gets released. Of course, we'll have our buddy Hijacker Mike put the finishing touches on it, and we'll get it all set and ready for you guys. So look out for September 6th, a brand new interview with the one and only Lance Meadow. I'm excited for that.
It's been a couple of years since we last talked to Lance during the 21-22 season.
Yep,
and
and
now
the
that
original incarnation of this show.
Yep, we've had him on twice talking about football, and now how convenient and perfect before the season even begins. And I know we're going to go around the table talking about, all the storylines, with the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Jets and the Bills and the Bengals and all these different teams, the Packers, how are they going to do without Aaron Rodgers, in their first year without him, and is Detroit a legit team? What is the future of running backs in the NFL as far as getting paid? I mean, there's just a lot of things on the table that we're going to be talking to Lance about, and we are super excited to finally be talking to Lance for the first time since August 26th of 2021. That is how long it's been.
So we'll be recording the interview on August 29th, correct?
30th.
30th. Yeah, 30th. Gotcha.
August 30th.
Okay, cool. August 30th, 4 p.m. Eastern. Gotcha. All right. Let's continue on with
but as far as the Jonathan Taylor situation is,
yeah,
I mean, he has a legitimate gripe, why he should be getting paid. Because as Kevin knows, as we all know, Jonathan Taylor is the sole reason why the Indianapolis Colts were in the position to win those games in 2021. And he was also the main reason Taylor was at getting them possibly in the postseason, but they choked that away, especially Carson Wentz, who was their quarterback at that time, threw that game away against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Colts missed the playoffs. If they won, they were in. And Jonathan Taylor, great running back, felt bad for him that he didn't get in, but his entire team collapsed under pressure, and he couldn't get the running game going during that game. And when you look at, the situation that he's in right now, and that this Colts team is, because Anthony Richardson being the rookie quarterback, I mean, he's got a lot of pressure on him because he was the 4th overall pick in the draft. And, it will be interesting to see what teams go after Taylor. And I have 3 teams that could possibly go after him. And the first two come into mind in no particular order. It's the Bills and the Dolphins. They need a quality running back.
I agree with that, but I got a couple other teams in mind also. And this one's kind of funny, but a couple teams I would say would be the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
With them losing Dalvin Cook.
Agree.
Definitely need that. And another one I think would be an overpower. And here's what's funny. To Philadelphia.
Ooh.
Running back one. But get this, if he goes to Philadelphia, we'll officially have the Taylor Swift running back duo because you got Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift. So you'll have the Taylor Swift running back duo in Philly.
Oh, please let that happen. That would be awesome.
Philly, I think they would have the accessories to pay for Jonathan Taylor. I mean, draft wise, you got draft capital, you got some defensive linemen that might be aging. I know Minnesota might have a couple. They're trying to shop the nail hunter, all pro pass rusher. So that the Colts would actually like that because they get an all pro pass rusher in that deal. So who knows? That could be a deal. I think Minnesota should be one of the favorites, though.
I know what teams are going to be thinking when that duo comes in to the building. You're going to be thinking, "I knew you were trouble." But don't worry, there might be some bad blood between them.
Wow.
Don't worry. That game is just going to be another picture to burn. Yes, I am quoting Taylor Swift lyrics on this show. The things I do for comedy. Thank you. Could be helped. That was like the perfect setup for that.
Yes, and you know what? I had Minnesota as my third team. I didn't have Philadelphia. That's a really good call because Philadelphia could use a caliber player like Jonathan Taylor because obviously losing Sanders last year or this year in the offseason to Carolina, and Jonathan Taylor is a beast. And when he gets going, running in between the tackles and running, to the outside on either side, when he gets running downhill, watch out. He's good. And we'll see what happens. And if Versable get him out of there.
Yeah, a player gets hurt by him, they're gonna say, "Look what you made me do." Okay, I'm done. I'm making myself groan at that.
Wow.
Yeah. See, this is what happens when you start this shit. Other news. Commanders wide receiver De'Ami Brown has been cleared to return. Was actually first taken out of yesterday's game with a concussion. But he was cleared to return and everything seems to be good so far. No more updates on his end. Let's see here. CJ, so far for the preseason finale, CJ Stroud will start for the Houston Texans. So it looks like more likely he will be the starter for that team. So, which makes sense. The NFL Players Association has terminated its trading card agreement with Panini effective immediately. Fanatics now holds exclusive rights to produce NFLPA branded trading cards. Little news out there. The Bucs have waived kicker Rodrigo Blankenship, and now Chase McLaughlin is now the lone kicker left on the Bucs roster.
Oh, the irony would be, what if he gets injured? Then they're fucked.
Speaking of Taylor Swift,
no.
Bill Belichick had some comments on Miss Swift. The night she performed out in the rain. He goes, "She's tough, man. She stood out there and played right through. The song 'You Need to Calm Down' is pretty good. Like, you got to calm down. There's a lot of times when that's very appropriate."
You know what?
A guy who shows barely any emotion when he plays. He's like the Greg Popovich of the NFL.
Well, I guess Bill Belichick has a soft spot for Taylor Swift then, because or he might be feeling guilty because Mac Jones don't want to play in the damn rain, so he might be throwing shade at his own quarterback.
Who?
Not sure which, or maybe both.
Mac Jones.
Who?
Mac Jones.
Who?
Sack
Mac
Jones.
Jones.
And call him Sack Jones because he don't know how to freaking get rid of the damn ball.
Wait. Okay, so Belichick was talking about Taylor Swift. I'm just wondering, is her next concert that he's going to, is that on to Cincinnati?
With the way Travis Kelce tried to get with her, you better be careful because he'll be the subject of her next album. Because you heard that story, right? Of Travis Kelce actually going to a Taylor Swift concert. He tried to give her a bracelet with his phone number on it.
Oh my.
Yeah. True story. Happened like a couple weeks ago. He went to a concert and he had a bracelet that he had made with his name and phone number on it to try and give to Taylor. I'm thinking, do you not realize that woman has more relationship issues than anybody I've heard of? And that every time she dates somebody, that they always end up the subject of the next album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Basura. Moving forward from that subject, there was the Monday Night Countdown new cast has been announced.
No boy.
And I'm sure people in this room have some comments.
Yes.
We got host Scott Van Pelt.
Nice.
Analysts include Ryan Clark,
Okay.
RG3,
What?
and Marcus Spears. Senior insider, of course, will be Adam Schefter.
Of course.
Michelle Beisner Buck will be the features reporter.
Who?
Michelle Beisner Buck. She's gotta be Joe Buck's wife. And then multiple appearances on the show will be from Larry Fitzgerald and Alex Smith.
Okay.
I'll take RG3 over Kendrick Perkins. Twice on Sunday.
It's Fitzgerald makes sense. Alex Smith was a very interesting call. It's really interesting how they went about with this. I mean, Scott Van Pelt obviously is the right person to be fronting the entire thing because Scott's pedigree at ESPN is pretty doggone good, if I must say. And I like him. He's good. The RG3 one, that's kind of okay. You had to get some player.
Well, he's doing nothing else. Both his knees been shredded up.
Yeah.
Knees have been shredded up like fucking Kraft cheese.
Yep.
Other news, some crazy news this past week, including the crazy issue that happened to Isaiah Bolton of the Patriots that ended up postponing and outright canceling the Packers-Patriots preseason game.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that happened a couple days ago. Isaiah Bolton was placed on a stretcher and carted off the field. He was hospitalized overnight. He was taking a hit from a teammate that led him being immobilized.
Ooh.
He had feeling in all of his extremities. So yeah, it was a very, very scary situation. And so both teams agreed that they would officially postpone the rest of the game and not play it.
The right call.
So let's see. Outside of that, nothing else has really been revealed. Aaron Donald will not play the final preseason game against the Broncos because his wife is due any day now.
Interesting.
Speaking of pregnancies in football, we got to talk about a kind of a former player, Eric Decker. His wife, country music star Jessie James Decker, is pregnant with their fourth child.
Oh,
Just saw that news broke before the start of the show. So congratulations to Jessie James, who I gotten to meet before. She's a sweetheart, absolutely gorgeous as hell. But yeah, her husband is Eric Decker, of course, former Jet,
former Bronco.
Former Bronco, yes. So they're pregnant. So she's pregnant with their fourth child. Congrats to him on that. Also the scary, probably one of the scariest things. Buccaneers quarterback John Wolford was taken to a local hospital for a neck injury.
Man.
Let's see. Also, one of the news stories, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham was found wandering down the street, I believe it was, after he had suffered what appeared to be a seizure. And he was completely disoriented and didn't know where he was. At first, he was arrested because they thought he might have been publicly intoxicated, in which that was not the case. He had a medical episode. So he was taken to a local hospital for evaluation, and he spent the night under medical supervision and testing. I believe he is due to be back at practice possibly later this week. So hopefully he'll be able to play the final preseason game. But if not, it's probably in their best interest. But something like that is extremely scary. Let's see. Nine-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Jason Peters, who is a free agent, said today that he still plans to play this season, what would be his 20th NBA season.
I wonder who's going to get him to be on the offensive line.
Yeah. The Commanders have named Sam Howell as their starting quarterback.
After the game that he had last night.
Yep. And then to wrap it up here, Joe Mixon, of course, Bengals running back, was found not guilty of aggravated menacing from a county judge's ruling. So he's free from those issues.
Good for him.
Let's see, and that I think is it on big news stories. Oh, here we go. Antonio Gates will be inducted into the Chargers Hall of Fame on December 10th.
Very nice.
Oh, and the Jets have officially signed Dalvin Cook to a 1-year contract. So there you go on that. The hell? Just saw something on Twitter about the Commanders. The Commanders posted a video of when Brock beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 with the Washington Commanders head over Brock Lesnar's head and the Baltimore Ravens logo over The Undertaker's head.
What?
Yes. And then the guy whose eyes bugged out at the end of the match, who couldn't believe it, he took his shirt and made it into a Baltimore Ravens shirt. Hysterical. Gotta love that. But that's pretty much all I got in NFL news for right now. So it's that time. It's that time once again, folks. It is time for our little predictions for the NFC East and the NFC West. And we're going to start off with the NFC West because why do the best first?
When you can save the torture for last.
Absolutely.
And real quick, after we give our predictions, we'll play a video on the show that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Joey's got a video which I did download.
Yep. So we'll play his after we give our thoughts.
Yeah, because Joey, whatever. He's a freaking Alabama fan.
Mid.
Very mid. Even that scumbag MJF would agree with me. And he would call me a poor fatso. Anyways, the NFC West, the Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. Oh man. Obviously, first place, obviously, is gonna be San Francisco. They got Brock Purdy, they got, like you said, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. I mean, come on, how can you go wrong? They're just a team that is destined to win this division, I think. I gotta go with the Rams in second. Oh, and as far as records, 49ers, I'm gonna give them 12-5. Maybe even 13-4. Just depending on how well they play, depending on how Brock does and he stays healthy, of course. Same thing with CMC and Kittle. Rams, I'm gonna give them 10-7, maybe 9-8. The Seahawks, 7-10. Any cards? Since we know Mr. What's his name's gonna be busy playing Call of Duty all summer, all winter. I'm gonna go with the record being 5-12. What, Steven?
It's going to be very interesting with this division because, I mean, the San Francisco 49ers, as I predict, as you predict, as Joey probably will predict, and as Kevin will predict, San Francisco is just, they're the team to beat in this division. Like, they have all the talent on the offensive side and the defensive side. I mean, on the defense, obviously headlined by Nick Bosa, the reigning defending defensive player of the year. And just that entire San Francisco defense is full of headhunters, and they play together as one unit. And they 9 times out of 10 last year dominated their games. And when the injury bug bit them at the worst possible time in the championship game against Philadelphia, they just unraveled. And obviously the injury to Brock Purdy was a huge problem. And when you can't throw with a bad shoulder injury, yeah, it was a disaster. And just the entire team was frustrated, and rightly so. And Deebo Samuel, the star multi-offensive weapon that he is at running and receiving and even throwing at times, he said that if we were healthy, we would have beaten Philadelphia. I mean, that's probably true because, I mean, San Francisco was a dominant team last year. And I think this year, their domination will reign supreme and continue again, because to me, they are head and shoulders above everybody in the NFC West. I mean, Seattle's got some nice, a nice piece in Geno Smith, who obviously was the comeback player of the year last year, and rightly so. He played his ass off and helped, Seattle get into the playoffs. But the real test with Smith is, can you keep this up for a second consecutive year? And obviously, as we all know, the Rams and especially the Cardinals are headed for football hell. And already Arizona is at the bottom of the barrel.
No.
Yes, they are rotting right now as we speak, especially Arizona. I mean, my goodness. I mean, Kyler Murray, he can't even stay healthy. And they're a disaster. And DeAndre Hopkins is like, I want the hell out of this hellhole. And he got out of it. So good for him. and now Kyler Murray's been, banged up, laid up, probably playing his video games, playing Call of Duty. Maybe he's playing the new Madden 24. Who knows? I mean,
or he's trying out for the longest yard cheerleaders with his damn sports bra on at practice.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Yes.
The fuck? What is? I'll get to it in a second.
Yeah, but as far as the Cardinals go, they are a recipe for disaster. They are the bottom of the NFC conference. They are the absolute worst team in this division. And I'll start it off from the bottom to the top. Look what I just did there. Boom. Right there from the bottom to the top. And from the bottom, it goes like this. Arizona.
What do you know? Your girl said that too.
Hey, yo. I'm going to go Arizona. You know what? I'm going to call it right now. Arizona is going to have 3. I said it. 3 wins.
Wait,
this year.
Did somebody say 3 wins?
Yes, thank you. Yes. That did not take 3 minutes to come up with that.
3 minutes.
But it takes them 3 minutes to trail 14-0 to any competent team in the NFL.
This is true.
Oh my God.
The Rams are going to be sitting in 3rd. They're nothings. They're nobodies right now. Their team is in disarray. That Super Bowl championship played a hefty price, did it there, Mr. Stan Kroenke? I think it did. I really think it did. Because now your team is at the bottom of the dumpster, the bottom of the basement, suffering for you will eternally. And number 2, Seattle. I mean, Seattle is they're pretty good, but they're still not at the top. I got LA. LA's gonna go. They're gonna finish with 4 wins. They suck. Seattle. I say Seattle at best goes 10-7. At worst, they go 7-10. And then I got San Francisco winning the division, and I got San Francisco going 12-5.
That's about where I had him, Steve, because I said 12-5 or at the most 13-4. Real quick, I got to give you a shout out in the chat to our boy Mongrovian Mike. Just came back from 1775 to come on here and use his original Macintosh to log in.
I think he's dialed up as we speak right now.
Yeah, he is dialing up right now. Taking a few minutes because it's 99 cents a minute, but I digress. Kevin, go ahead.
The NFC West, to me, simply a 2-team race, essentially, because, I mean, Arizona is so far at the bottom. They're looking up at the submarine that imploded in the ocean at the Titanic crash site. That is how far at the bottom these jabronis are. Let me just say that. Little dark. But anyway, you got a guy named Jonathan Gannon. Let me tell you how confused this jabroni is. He's so confused, even Madden has him confused. He runs a 4-3 defense, but in Madden, Arizona has a 3-4 playbook, and he's just confused. And his play calling is so vanilla. No wonder Patrick Mahomes on one leg diced them up of the Eagles defense all night in the Super Bowl. I mean, good God, this guy goes to Arizona. Also, it's been reports he's been late to every single team meeting, and he's your head coach. I mean, this team is a disaster. Kyler might not play at all. You got an old grandpa in James Conner. He's like 40 years old. You got no wide receivers, a bunch of number 3s out there, Hollywood Brown as your best receiver. Defense is not, it's shit. The front 7 is shit. The secondary is decent. I mean, you got guys like Isaiah Simmons and Budda Baker. They're going to be good safeties. I like them. They should have got the fuck out while they could have. But anyway, I think Arizona, of course, is going to be dead last. They go 3-14 at best. I don't think they win. They don't win at all. They are doing a good job of rebuilding because they do own the Texans pick. So if the Texans suck, at least big time, they can have 2 top 5 picks in the NFL draft. Shout out to them. They can maybe get a couple of playmakers. But in third place, I got the Rams. I don't have them as atrocious as you do, Steven, because at the end of the day, McVay's still a decent coach. He's a good coach. Aaron Donald's still a beast on the D-line. I think that Stafford is old and he's falling off that cliff. I actually going to make a bold statement right here. Midway through the season, Stetson Bennett takes over as the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams full time.
It could happen.
I think they win. I'm going to say at best, I'm going to be generous. At best, they go 6-11. At best. I think they go 6-11. I think they go 5-12 at worst. Now, the top 2. Yes, I think I got Seattle at number 2. Yes, I think they can be more competitive, but the ESPN analysts that think Seattle is going to push San Francisco like truly to the wire, I think they're lost their mind, because at the end of the day, we watched last year, not 1, not 2, 3 different quarterbacks dice Seattle up 3 games in a row. Not 1, not 2, but 3 games sweep on Seattle. They are far away from San Francisco talent-wise right now. Yes, they got a good young team. Yes, Pete Carroll is a top 5 coach in football. I will admit that. He is great. But I still have questions. Geno could not have played better than he did last year. And let me just say, there's a saying that lightning usually doesn't strike twice in the same place. I don't believe Geno has a year like he did this year. I think he struggles some. I don't think he is that gunslinger like we've seen. I think that was a prodigy of the system. I think they are looking up. They got some studs, 2 good offensive tackles. Kenneth Walker Jr., he's great. He's a great running back. He's going to be great. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's going to be a great wide receiver to fill in once Tyler Lockett ages out the league. DK Metcalf, all pro, love him. He's a great talent. Defensively, this is where the problem is. Their front 7 stinks, and that's what's hurting them every time they play San Francisco. When they play San Francisco, it's not like, oh, we're getting into a gunslinging match. No, it's San Francisco's. They're playing to beat your ass physically. They're playing to up front, bully you, and have their way with you. And literally, Christian McCaffrey with Kyle Shanahan calling plays and sitting there licking his chops at this front 7 like, oh, yeah, we're running right up the middle. We're going to throw over the middle with Kittle. We're going to run up the middle. We're going to do all this. We're going to play action you to death. We're going to reverse with Debo. We're going to punish you physically. And Seattle's got a lot of questions on defense. Do I think their secondary is great? Yes, they're trying to build a Legion of Boom Part 2. I agree.
Sure.
But their front 7 is not Seattle of old times. They don't have that Cliff Averill. They don't have that Michael Bennett. They don't have that. They don't have
Bobby Wagner.
Who got Bobby Wagner, but he's like 36 again, going back to them. So he's not what he was. I think Seattle is nowhere near the talent of San Francisco.
They don't have Malcolm Smith.
Yes, they don't have that either. But I do believe they will compete with San Francisco. I don't think San Francisco is going to go out there and beat them 27-3 like they did in week 3 of last year. I think every game is going to be like toward the end of last year where it was 21-10, 21-13, maybe 24-20. So they're going to compete. I just don't think they're good enough to overtake San Francisco when San Francisco just swept them 3 times last year, including the 40-point bomb in the playoffs. Yep. So I got Seattle at best going 10-7, earning a wild card spot. I think they could get in the wild card. They're going to compete with other teams, but I think they can do it. Now, number 1, of course, I think this is like we just said, this is the Niners division to lose. We've seen how good they were last year, especially when they got healthy. The addition of Christian McCaffrey when he stayed healthy, boy, that was like watching that was like poetry in motion right there with Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Shanahan calling plays. Like it was damn near unstoppable. If you need a play when everything else was struggling, if Brock was a little nervous, what did they do? They ran McCaffrey and he took over. He scored. Or if they were stopping everything else, they could never stop McCaffrey. And that's what I think is going to be the key. The 49ers' biggest robbery this year is injuries. If they stay healthy, they win 13 games. But I'm gonna say they cap out at 12-5. Not because I think, oh yeah, they're gonna get smoked in 5 games. Here's a stat deep dive I'm gonna tell you. The San Francisco 49ers, they traveled the second most miles in the country this year on road games. So that means they're doing a lot of traveling. They're going to have to go to Pittsburgh. At Pittsburgh week 1, they got to go at Philadelphia week 13. They've got a lot of traveling to do. They got to come home, then travel, and come home, then travel. It ain't like, oh, they get Pittsburgh and Philadelphia back to back where they can just stay in Pennsylvania for 2 weeks. No, they got to travel. I think that's going to take a toll. They're going to be beat up 1 week. Of course, we know how injuries are with this team. So I think they do lose some stinkers. And honestly, I would not be surprised if we lose week 1 at Pittsburgh because you know how we are. Not disrespecting the Bears because they are a worthy opponent and a professional football team, and I love Justin Fields. But we sat there and put up a stinker against Chicago week 1 last year. That's just who we are on the road early in the season. It's just like, who gives a crap? But by December, look for this team to start winning consecutive win streaks, this and that. That's when they play Seattle. That's why I said I think they're going to be in tune, ready to go when they play the Seattle Seahawks. And the biggest news coming from San Francisco is Brock Purdy. But when they came out and said he has no restriction and he's a full go for training camp, I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but a lot of teams seen what he was able to do last year in that system. He is a prodigy of the system. I'll say that. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's a systemic quarterback in a good system like Russell Wilson was with Seattle. If you don't remember, watch the tape. He flourished in that system. And Brock Purdy is doing the same in San Francisco. He's making the right reads. He's playing with his head. In Pete Carroll's system, as well as the Kyle Shanahan system, it's not about talent and arm talent. It's about, can you play with your head? Are you smart enough to make the right reads, escape the pocket, make plays after, like when the play breaks down? Are you able to do that? And Brock Purdy has proved he has it. He has the swagger too, and I think they will get on a win streak. Their schedule's relatively easy. I mean, after Pittsburgh, hell, they got Arizona and the Rams the next 2 weeks. Jesus Christ. And at LA is essentially a home game for the 49ers. Then they got Dallas in week 5. That's going to be a test of giants there. That's going to be a ball game. It's going to be a great game. A lot of great games on their schedule. And I think a lot of it's going to be very fun to watch. But I think this is San Francisco's division to lose, played up. I mean, also, you got to realize this team had the best defensive football last year. They get another great defensive guru to replace DeMeco Ryans, Steve Wilks, who Carolina fumbled and should have kept him as their head coach, by the way. Steve Wilks just landed in the 49ers' hand, who knows a thing or two about some good defense. So I like that. And also, we are currently waiting the contract negotiations of the one defensive player, Nick Bosa, who is expected to earn the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, surpassing Aaron Donald at $30 million. Nick Bosa is supposed to make anywhere from around $31 to $33 million per year. So this news should be coming out in the next week or two as the preseason winds down, but Nick Bosa is about to get money. And when he does and he comes back, look for Nick Bosa. And the addition, that we can't forget this. This goes unnoticed for the 49ers. The addition of Javon Hargrave. If you don't know, watch the tape because the Philadelphia Eagles had a monster of a year last year with the Eagles. At defensive tackle, led all defensive tackles in the NFL in sacks with 13. As a defensive tackle, that is insane to be able to sack the quarterback that many times at defensive tackle. So look for Hargrave and Bosa. That's going to be a massive problem for opposing quarterbacks. So, yeah, I think this is the 49ers division to lose. And that's why I say to lose based off of injuries and just putting up stinkers. But I think they should have a clear advantage in this division.
All right. I definitely agree with all your points, Kevin, especially San Fran. This is their division to lose, and hopefully they keep it because Lord knows. But the next division we're going to talk about is the division that we've been waiting to talk about this whole time. And that is the NFC East. That is the Commanders, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to be realistic here. Cowboys are going to take the division. No. In reality, I'm going to actually be 100. If I could be serious for a minute, as the great Lance Storm once said. To be honest, Eagles, obviously, they're gonna win this. This is their division to lose. Another one. And that's no slight to the Commanders, Giants, Dallas, even to a degree. It's just their division to lose. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he's gonna come in healthy, he's gonna come in ready to go. The rest of the team is gonna be good. Hurts and company, I'm going to give them a record of tough call. It could be 11-6. It could be 12-5. I'm going to give them 12-5. Just as I know they did really well last year. I'm going to give them 12-5. At the most 13. At the most 13-4. Next team on the list. That's a tough one. I'm actually gonna give it to the I don't know. This is a tough one, man. It's I gotta give it to the I'm actually gonna give it to the the New York. Actually, I'm gonna give it to football Giants. Mainly because of the Commanders. I like the Commanders. I like what they're doing and the integral pieces they have. Even the Giants are going to edge them out, but it's going to be slight if they do. I'm going to give them a record, Giants, of 9-8, maybe 8-9. Actually, no, switch that. I'm going to put the Commanders at 2. I think the Commanders did some right moves, made some right pieces. The change in management, change in ownership definitely is going to bring a positive vibe to that team. So definitely, I'm going to go with the Commanders here. Second. 3, I'm actually going to go with Dallas. They got rid of Ezekiel Elliott, which was, at first I thought was a little bit head scratching, but that's because of the emergence of Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has been an absolute threat on their team, and we make fun of Dallas, we trash them all the time, but we can't. There's a lot of talent on that team for sure. They got CeeDee Lamb, and when he sees the ball, he's dangerous. And then you've got Tony Pollard, who can play both wide receiver and running back as a dual threat. And he was a big player despite some key losses last year. He was a threat to other teams and other defenses because he's got great footwork and can run. So he's the guy who can play both ends of that spectrum and who can be a game changer. And it's going to be dependent on how well that Dak Prescott plays. I know we joked about the interceptions he threw in practice and all that stuff. And, shit. I mean, does that maintain that he's going to suck this year? No. Like you said, preseason practice, all that shit doesn't mean a damn thing. What means a thing is games 1 through 17. That's what means everything. And so to me, I feel like Dallas is going to be number 3. Oh, and as far as the Commanders go, I forgot to give the record for the Commanders. I'm going to give the Commanders. I'm going to give them a record of 10-7. I think they have the tools to do it if they play their cards right.
You mean the Giants?
No, I switched it out, Steven. I picked the Commanders.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought it just made me realize that they got some key players back from injury. They got the change in ownership is a positive thing that can help them. When you have a change in ownership that's going to help out the team and bring new life to it. I think this is part of it. So yeah, but I'm gonna give them 10-7. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna give them 8-9, maybe 7-10 at the lowest. It's just depending on how well Dak Prescott plays and how well the other members of the team can stay healthy. And then, unfortunately, at the bottom of the barrel is going to be the New York Football Giants. I think it's going to be 6-11 for them.
So you got Philadelphia, Washington, Dallas,
and in New York.
And the Giants.
Yes.
Very interesting.
The only reason I put Dallas a little bit higher is just because the structure of the team is a little bit different. I think there is some positives. Like I said, Tony Pollard, big positive. Now that he has the reins all to himself now, and there's no Ezekiel Elliott to come back from an injury, I think Tony Pollard's going to go off. I think he's really going to make a statement. Now, like I said, it's all dependent on if Dak plays well and if he can stay healthy. Those are the two main keys. If Dak can somehow even maintain a level of success, which we know is very, very questionable. More questionable. It's more questionable than Russell Westbrook's fashion choices. Okay.
Right.
So that's the only reason why I put Dallas ahead of the New York Football Giants.
This one's tricky, but for the first time, okay, I'm gonna start at the on top like Ezra did. For the first time since 2004 and 2005, I finally believe we will have a back-to-back division winner in the NFC East, and it's by the same team, coincidentally, the Philadelphia Eagles. I had my questions after the Super Bowl. They lost both coordinators to head coaching jobs. They lost a lot of free agency. They lost their big D tackle to San Francisco. They lost a lot of pieces. But they ended up, these fuckers found a way to retool in the NFL draft, getting probably the best defensive draft player there was that fell all the way into the teens, and that's Jalen Carter. Jesus Christ, dude. They're talking about he might already be a superstar in this league, and he hasn't played a single game yet. That's tough. They got a stud. Then they get Nolan Smith, another Georgia Bulldog, then another Kelly Ringo at DB, another Georgia Bulldog. It's the Philadelphia Bulldogs of the 2022 National Championship, essentially. So they was able to retool. Jalen Hurts broke out. He finally broke through, a superstar. He's had an MVP season last year. A.J. Brown helped bust him through, and I think Philly's still looking up. They're tough, man. They got best offensive line in football. It's hard to beat them. I believe they're going to tie with San Francisco at 12-5, and they'll be battling for that one seed in the NFC. That's the two kings of the castle. Philadelphia, San Francisco. That's your cream of the crop at the top. No, but when I come to second in the NFC East, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go to Dallas. I think they pose too much regular season potential. We seen it on display last year. They were able to beat a lot of good teams in the regular season, but that's the key word here, regular season. In the words of L.A. Knight, Cowboys fans, let me talk to you because you're not going to do nothing in the playoffs. We know how you are in the regular season. You're going to win your 12 games, 11 games. You're going to compete with Philly. I think they go 11-6. That's what I got Dallas, 11-6.
So they're going to be eliminated first round?
Yes, they're going to be eliminated.
No, it's not. It's not yes. It's yeah.
Well, they're going to be eliminated first round or when they play San Francisco before the title game, because we already seen the last 2 years. But Dallas did have a lot of good acquisitions. They didn't lose a lot. Yes, they lost Zeke, but I like that they got Brandon Cooks. They finally got a kind of a semi-legit receiver out there to help CD Lamb, CD Ball out there. So maybe he can take the pressure off of them. A key was when they lost Dalton Schultz, though. I do not like that loss to Dalton Schultz to they lost the Dalton Schultz to the Houston Texans, and I didn't like that. But they helped by adding Stephon Gilmore. They added Stephon Gilmore, and he is a really good corner. He won Defensive Player of the Year. I believe it was 2016. I believe 2017. So he up in New England. So he's been a beast.
But we know how this song plays out. They're going to go up to Philadelphia, get their ass stomped in by Jalen Hurts, who puts up 45 on them, beat everybody else, come one game short, make the playoffs, get put out. That's the Dallas Cowboys. Third place. I don't know, man. This is tough. New York had a breakthrough. I like Brian Daboll. He's a good head coach. I just think it was a rarity that Saquon stayed healthy all last year. I think he gets banged up, and you're really going to see your $42 million quarterback, Daniel Jones, when he has to put the game on the shoulder, ain't going to be able to make those throws. I like the addition of Darren Waller, but I think it's a little too much for Daniel Jones. The pressure is going to be a little too much. Saquon means a lot to this team. So I think the Giants are going to be last place. I think they're going to be last place, but still a decent record. I'm going to say all four teams again over 500. The Giants are going to go 9-8. I think they still will win because Brian Daboll has a good defense and is a good head coach. Third place, I'm going Commanders. The reason why, and I think they're going to have the same exact record as the New York Giants, just like last year, fighting down for a wild card spot. I think the Giants also go 9-8, or the Commanders, go 9-8. Yes, they got Eric Bieniemy. I like him. I think he is a hell of an offensive mind, and I think there was a lot of tension and hate released from that organization once Dan Snyder sold that team. So there's a lot of fresh air, new beginnings, greener pastures now. But Sam Howell, dude, I can't buy into it. He is going to be good. They're going to make some plays, but I don't trust Sam Howell to go in there to Dallas and outperform Dak Prescott, as bad as Prescott is. I don't trust Sam Howell to go in there and go toe-to-toe with Jalen Hurts. I don't think so. I think a lot of this is going to be schematic. I think Eric Bieniemy is going to scheme a lot of plays open, and they're going to be good offensively. I just don't trust Sam Howell. He's a second-year quarterback who was barely drafted, and I just don't trust it. So I think Washington goes 9-8. Which is an improvement from last year, by the way, because they stunk last year. Started out decent, and then they just absolutely stunk it up. But teams like the Giants and the Commanders, they got a tough schedule, man. They both have to travel to San Francisco and to Seattle on back-to-back weeks. That's tough. That is a tough stretch when they have to travel. And then the very next week, I believe the Commanders have to play the Eagles, which it don't get easier for them. Then the Giants, I believe they have to play the Chiefs this year. I just think they both end up 9-8, and I think this is the Eagles' time for the first time in a long time to repeat as division winners.
Yeah. All right, and that concludes our predictions for those.
Wait.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I will say that this is so tough. I'm gonna go with the Commanders. At best, they'll go 9-8. At worst, they'll go 7-10. I just don't know how Sam Howell is going to do this year. I mean, this will be his first starting year, and I think he'll have a little bit of pressure on him going into the year because he's never started a full season campaign. And it'll be interesting to see how he does. Now, the Giants on the other end, they're my number 3. And the Giants have a lot of question marks with them. One, can Saquon Barkley stay healthy for another year and be the dominant running back that we know he can be when he's healthy? But the biggest question of all, Mr. getting paid a crap ton of money, Daniel Jones, the starting quarterback. He has the most pressure on him because he's only been to the playoffs one time, and that was with the Giants this past season. And their hopes and dreams were crushed by Philadelphia in the divisional round. And the Giants, I think they're going to have a pretty good season this year, but it all depends upon, can Barkley stay healthy again? And I say at best, I think the Giants will finish 10-7. At worst, they'll finish 9-8. Number 2, the Dallas Cowboys. And like Kevin said, Dak Prescott, if he, Dak Prescott finally has a decent, credible weapon at receiver and Brandon Cooks, and maybe he can teach CeeDee Lamb a thing or two about seeing the ball. Just saying. Still the greatest one-liner in sports show history. And of course, Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is the vocal point of this team. And it will be very interesting to see how Pollard does in his first full year as the starting running back for the Cowboys. Because Tony Pollard is a complete player as far as running with the rock and catching the ball in the backfield. Hell, even sometimes going deep, and catching deep passes, and all that. Like, he's a very credible threat, at being a dual receiver running back. But can he stay healthy? And he got injured, obviously, in the divisional round against the Niners in Santa Clara. And if Prescott, for the love of God, can keep the turnovers down this year and, don't turn the ball over like he's already doing right now in preseason form. He's already in rare season form. He's already in full force, throwing picks already. And we'll see if he can cash them checks that, with his mouth that hopefully his ass, won't be cashing, because the way he's talking outside of his ass, I'm not going to lead the league in interceptions. Prove us wrong. Cowboys, I think at best, they'll finish 11-6, but at worst, just like the Giants, I think they'll finish 10-7, because their defense, Michael Parsons is a dominant player, but for the love of Christ, that secondary is going to get barbecued. Because I do not trust Trayvon Diggs. That contract he got, it ain't worth nothing to me. So once again, like I said, Dallas at best finishes 11-6. At worst, they finish 10-7. And like Kevin said, I am picking the Philadelphia Eagles to finally end this streak of every next season, a different winner in this division. Philadelphia has no reasons why they should not repeat as NFC East champions. And I will say my record for Philadelphia. Now, I did say San Francisco 12-5, but I will say right now, my record for both of these teams could go either way. So with that being said, I'm going to go Philadelphia at 12-5, but just like San Francisco 12-5, both of these two teams at best will finish 13-4.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts has had a hell of a run so far, took this team to the Super Bowl, and there is no reason why they shouldn't be contending for the Super Bowl once again, because, the weapons that they got on offense, Dallas Goedert, and my goodness gracious, at wide receiver, they are loaded with Smith and with Brown. Just incredible outside specimens at the receiver position. And I look for Smith and for Brown to make defensive secondaries' lives a living hell and a nightmare that they want to forget. Because if Philadelphia's offense can be flying high like it was this past season, Philadelphia should be once again ranked as one of the best teams in the NFL.
I agree. And we got one more person who wants to chime in, and that is our good buddy Joey Thornton.
Yes, we do.
He sent us a video earlier today with his thoughts on these predictions. So let's go right to it, man. Let's give us a second here. Hey, we are just about set here. So now let's hear our predictions from our good friend, Mr. Joseph Thornton, as he gives us his predictions on the NFC East and the NFC West. So enjoy this quick video, folks. We'll be back in a few minutes.
What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Tuesday evening. Like I said last week, I was not going to be on the show tonight, but I did say I was going to give my thoughts because tonight is the final part of our NFL regular season prediction show, previewing the conferences, and tonight was going to be the NFC East and the NFC West. So I'm here to give my thoughts as to how each division is going to go. First up, the NFC East. And for anybody that wants to know, those teams in the NFC East are the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, the reigning Super Bowl runner-ups, the Philadelphia Eagles, and my favorite team, the Washington Commanders. Now, obviously, me being a Washington fan, I would love to say that Washington is going to breeze past everybody and take home first place in the NFC East, but even I, as a dedicated fan, know that's not going to happen. At least not yet. We're in a rebuilding mode, and we made huge strides by signing not a player, but a coach who actually knows the offensive game, and a coach that helped make Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce into superstars. And yes, I'm talking about offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do for us this season. But I still think this is kind of a rebuilding year for Washington. I don't think they're going to finish dead last, though. And dead last, I am actually going to say the New York Giants. Because the Giants, to me, they didn't really do much in the offseason. I mean, yes, they inked Daniel Jones to a long-term deal and pretty much snubbed the true offensive weapon on their team. That, of course, is running back Saquon Barkley. But the Giants, other than that, they didn't really do much of anything. The offensive line, to me, still has holes. The D-line needs some help. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau right there on the defensive line can't do it by himself. And the Giants, I mean, yeah, they had a good run last year. They did. They even had a playoff victory over the Minnesota Vikings. But to me, they just haven't amounted to anything. Third place, it really pains me to say this, but I'm putting Washington in third place. Now, the reason I say Washington in third is because, well, Sam Howell is our starting quarterback. It was just confirmed the other day. And he's only played one game, and yes, it was a blowout win over the Dallas Cowboys. But we really will get to see what Sam Howell is like this year. And seeing as how we have a balanced running attack with Antonio Gibson and our starter, Brian Robinson, as well as receivers Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson, I mean, who knows what can happen with this Washington team. And the defense, yeah, the defense does look pretty stout once again, especially since Chase Young should be able to play for the full season, along with Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, who we got back there. But Washington, to me, still part of a rebuilding mode. I would say give us another maybe a year or two, and maybe we could challenge for the NFC East, but I just don't see it happening this year. Number 2, I'm going to go Dallas, because, well, Dallas, even though we pick on Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb not CDing the ball all the time, Dallas still has talent. I mean, yeah, Dak Prescott has had his bad moments, but he's also had his good moments. And I'm talking in all seriousness here. I'm not making jokes. Dak Prescott is a decent quarterback, and CeeDee Lamb is a pretty decent wide receiver. And the Cowboys' offensive line, that is definitely their strong suit. The O-line has been phenomenal. but the D-line needs a little bit of help. So that's why I'm putting Dallas at number 2. And, of course, I mean, you got to put Philly at number 1 because they're the defending Super Bowl runner-ups for a reason. They have a elite quarterback in Jalen Hurts, amazing receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, a great tight end, Dallas Goedert, and a defense that is very, very scary on the field. Now, as far as the NFC West is concerned, I'm going to do this quick because my time is just about to run out. I'm putting the LA Rams at number 4 because the Rams, they need help. And it's not going to come in the form of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. It's just not going to happen. No, scratch that. Number 4 is going to be Arizona because I totally forgot that Arizona was in that division. Arizona definitely needs more help than LA does. But I'm going to put the Rams at number 3. I'm going to put the Seattle Seahawks at number 2 because they had a very decent year last year with Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker manning the load. And whenever Kenneth Walker went down, Rashad Penny was able to guide them. But, of course, now Rashad Penny's on the Eagles. So now the Seahawks have pretty much Kenneth Walker to fall back on. So hopefully Geno and Kenneth Walker can actually get them some much-needed stats and much-needed improvement. And, of course, number 1, man, the team that has the best defense, the team that has the best-looking offense in that conference, and a team that has a quarterback who really, really impressed us all last year. And that, of course, is the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, you got to put them at number 1, man, because that defense is just monstrous. You got a huge offense led by Brock Purdy at quarterback, and, of course, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver, and, of course, Christian McCaffrey, and you can't forget about George Kittle also. So San Francisco is definitely the team to beat in the NFC West. And nobody's going to stop them anytime soon as long as those guys are in charge. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show. Hopefully I should be back next week, but if not, then we'll just see what happens. But peace. I'm out.
Okay, and that was Joey Thornton with his picks. Dallas at number 2, huh? Okay.
It's a common thread for a lot of us.
Yeah, we're picking regular season standings, not playoff standings. Because if I was picking playoff standings, they'd be the first one out. We all know how that works.
Yes.
We all see Dallas in the first round. They just looked up last year and got to play the fucking depleted Bucs team who had nobody but poor Tom Brady, a 50-year-old grandpa out there trying to throw the ball with no team. So yeah, they looked up out of that round. They met their maker after that, though.
Yeah. Pretty much that's all I got in the world of football. Everybody gave their coverage and on that. But Steven, anything else you wanted to get into the football side of things?
I think I am good to go on the football side of things.
All right, then let's move on to a couple quick notes before we wrap up the show. One note, breaking news that came in a little over an hour and a half ago. That came from the world of Major League Baseball. And this comes straight from the White Sox. And the White Sox have made a change in the organization. And that is that Executive Vice President Ken Williams and GM Rick Hahn have both been relieved of their responsibilities effective immediately. This comes off the heels of the rumor that came out earlier today that the White Sox may be planning to move out of Chicago and move to Nashville, leaving the Cubs as the only team in Chicago. Now, personal opinion on this, as much as I love Nashville, no. They should have their own franchise built from the ground up, not, take a 100-year legacy and move it over to another state and city. To me, my opinion, this is Jerry Reinsdorf's doing. He needs to go. This is the whole Fisher situation in Oakland, but it's the Chicago version. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Not only do those other two need to go, but Reinsdorf needs to sell the team or just retire. That's it. So I'm gonna leave it at because I don't want to go on a tangent about it because we're low on time. But that's just my opinion. Speaking of sell the team, our boy Hijacker, of course, is still leading the charge, as he always is with the other Oakland A's fans. Oh, breaking news coming out of the world of Major League Baseball just announced the Angels have activated Mike Trout off the injured list.
Interesting.
Yeah, which means the Angels get their power hitter back. So that's big news for them, getting one of their biggest home run hitters back on the team. So outside of that, Major League Baseball wise, score updates real quick. Right now, bottom of the seventh, the Tigers are up on the Cubs 7-6. Rays are losing to the Rockies 4-3, middle of the eighth. The Giants are beating the Phillies 3-2, bottom of the seventh. Pittsburgh Pirates are beating the Cards 6-2. Orioles and the Blue Jays are tied at 3 apiece, top of the sixth. Nationals and the Yankees tied at 1 apiece, middle of the seventh. Dodgers are beating the Guardians 3-2, bottom of the seventh. 2-zip Braves over the Mets, middle of the fifth. Sorry, Elder. Houston is up 2-0 over the Red Sox. White Sox are losing to Seattle 2-1 in the bottom of the second. Milwaukee and Minnesota are tied at 2 apiece, bottom of the third. And then later on tonight is Cincinnati and the Angels, Royals and the A's, Texans and Rangers and the Diamondbacks, Marlins, and the Padres. All those are tonight. Later tonight, check your local listings for whatever games you want to watch. And I think that's about it. I don't think there was much in the world of mixed martial arts recently. UFC 292 was this past weekend. I forgot about that.
Yep.
UFC 292, and we crowned a new champion, new bantamweight champion. Congratulations to Sean O'Malley, who knocked out Aljamain Sterling in a big epic fight. Stunning TKO. The guy who many people thought was not going to beat Adesanya or Aljamain Sterling, who's been practically unstoppable. But man, Sugar Sean O'Malley, man, took it to him, got him with a right hook that stunned him, and then poured it on until the ref called it. Congratulations to Sean O'Malley, new UFC undisputed bantamweight champ. The heavy fight there. That was a great fight. Also on the card was one of the most unstoppable women on the planet, Zhang Weili, who we saw her in the crowd at a recent UFC event. She defended her strawweight title against Amanda Lemos, won unanimous decision, 50-43, 50-44, 49-45. Other big fighters in this one include Brad Tavares, who beat Chris Weidman, the former UFC middleweight champion, unanimous decision. And that's pretty much it on the bigger fights on the card. They also had the Ultimate Fighter, Team McGregor and Team Chandler, bantamweight and lightweight finals. Also on this card as well. So definitely you got that going on. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I think I'm good.
All right. Final thoughts for tonight. We'll start off with our boy KR, Kevin Rory. Let's do it, man.
Good show tonight, guys. Good discussing the NFC East and the NFC East and the NFC West. And hope everybody has a safe rest of the week and enjoy it. Enjoy some football and enjoy some of that Little League baseball that is on. Good competition, fun, watching the kids play. It's always good for the love of baseball. So everybody have a safe week and enjoy some sports.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we get to Steven, I definitely got to say congratulations to All Elite Wrestling. They broke the record that was held by WrestleMania 32 this past week, with over 80,800 tickets sold for All In coming up on the 29th, I believe, or 27th, or 29th, I believe.
27th. Yeah.
27th.
Yeah.
And also big news on that show for Fozzy will be performing live at All In Wembley Stadium. Chris Jericho will play Judas all the way to the ring, and he will be singing as he heads down to the ring to face Will Ospreay. So I wanted to bring that up real quick, and congratulations to AEW on that. And also real quick, if trying to remember if there was any other big news real quick, but just outside of that, nothing else. Steven, you know how to do it. Close it out the right way, my brother.
Great job with you guys tonight, and recapping the final 2 weeks of the NFL divisional side of things.
Steven, I have to stop you. I'm afraid your track is off your mic, so I think you need to fix
it. That's too funny. No, that's not pumping through the PA. This is actually live, folks. And for those that don't get our little references, Eddie Trunk, just like a lot of us, are huge proponents of music being live and shows being live. And this is 110% live. And just a great show with you guys, talking about the NFC East and the NFC West from the NFL, wrapping up our divisional previews. And next week on the show, the guys will be giving their predictions on who they think will make the playoffs and who will miss the playoffs. And the reason why I say the guys will is because yours truly, will not be on the show next Tuesday. I will be at Dirty Honey opening up for Guns N' Roses in Charlotte, and I will be sending in a video like Joey did, giving my predictions based off our divisional picks, and the teams that come into second place based off who we think are going to be the wild card teams and who will be making the playoffs next year and who will be making it to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. So that will be a lot of fun next week. And just as a quick reminder, folks, as I broke the news at about 7:30-ish Eastern time, Lance Meadow will be joining us on a pre-recorded interview on August the 30th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are looking forward to talking to Lance about the NFL and the upcoming season and his thoughts on the upcoming season and all that fun stuff. And great show with you guys. And don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner. Everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it is at the Nation's Corner. And like Ezra said, this Sunday at Wembley Stadium in the United Kingdom, AEW is all in. And it's looking like a very stacked card. And looking forward for Fozzy to be playing Judas in front of 88,000 people. Like, it's insane the numbers that they have broke for this show. And just incredible. I mean, MJF and Adam Cole for the AEW World title. And the Bucks and FTR, round number 3 for the World Tag Team Championship belt. Samoa Joe, CM Punk. I mean, my goodness. I mean, the card is loaded. And check out the Nation's Corner this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, as they break down all the things in professional wrestling and preview this Sunday's first of 2 pay-per-views for All Elite Wrestling, as All In is this Sunday and All Out in Chicago is next weekend. And also, Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ON_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and also where we are live on Tuesdays, YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And once again, shout out to Big T, Randy, and William Gyron, and our very own Mongrovian Mike being in the chat tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, for being in the chat tonight, watching us live. And for those that tune in to watch this afterwards, thank you as well. And with that being said, Ezra, wrap this up, my friend.
Absolutely, Stephen. Thank you guys so much for joining us as always. Thank you to my cohorts here. Thank you to Joey for sending in a video. Thank you to everybody who's watched this live. Thank you to everybody who watches this on demand. Don't forget to follow us on our social medias, including our individual ones that are listed at the bottom of the description, where you can follow us for all the sorts of crazy stuff we post. It's going to be a fun time. As I said, Stephen will not be here next week, but he will send in the video. We can't wait to do that. Got a lot of stuff planned coming up in the world of sports and, of course, wrestling. Definitely want to throw out big news coming out of Mission Pro real quick, and that is there was an open casket challenge that was put out by JP Harlow of the Men's Revolution at Mission Pro. Well, that has been answered by Black Swan Zoe Dubois. Now, JP Harlow put out a video today telling her to back out. Now, obviously, I guarantee you she won't, but for right now, October 21st, Mission Pro Wrestling Thriller. It is going to be in a special, I believe it will be a open casket, a casket match. It will be JP Harlow versus Black Swan. First match added to the cards. Definitely check that out. MissionProWrestling.com to get your tickets, or TitleMatchNetwork.com to watch it live. Only $9.99 a month, so please sign up and support. To me, one of the best independent promotions in all of professional wrestling. So with that being said, for Kevin Rory, for our boy Joey Thornton, for Randy Gyron, and for Stephen Wyand, I am Ezra Vickery, and we will see you next week with another great edition of Our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you next Tuesday with more NFL, NBA, and UFC, and Major League Baseball coverage on YouTube. Take care, everybody, and have a great week. Peace.
Turn me up.